I've coached 90 plus serious people in the past 6 years of my fitness career, and this is exactly what I would do if I had to start all over again from scratch. Hey guys, if you're wondering who I am, my name is Abhiram and I am an online fitness coach and the founder of The Might, an online fitness coaching platform. I've been making content on my Instagram channel for the past 4 years trying to help people and coaching a lot of people. Basically, it is my mission to help you with actionable tools so that you can be the best version of yourself. In this video, I'm going to be giving you the entire system with which you can start your fitness journey from scratch. Staying in shape, staying fit, or staying healthy is very difficult for an average person, which is why I've made this blueprint so that you can refer to it. So it doesn't matter who you are, a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced athlete. Whatever part of fitness journey you are in, you can refer to this video and use it to your advantage. Now, there are some crucial steps that you'll have to make in order to kickstart this system. Deciding on a workout program, a diet plan, a routine outline, meal preps, gym timings, sources of protein, how you're going to deal with people who is stopping you from achieving your goals. We're going to start off nice and easy with dieting. Step one is to figure out your maintenance macros and calorie requirements. Now, in order to do that, you can just go to a simple online calorie calculator website. I've given one here, which you can use. And all you have to do is fill out the data so that the website will tell you how much calories you have to eat. Now, this is only a rough estimate of what your maintenance could look like. We thoroughly don't know your maintenance yet, but you have an idea. So now we move on to step two, which is you download a tracking app to track your macros every single day. Yes, this is a commitment and you are working with a system here. So in order for that system to work, you have to be doing certain things every day. Tracking your macros is one of them. In order to track your macros, you can download any one of these apps. I personally recommend you use MyFitnessPal. Even though you have the app, there are certain things you have to follow in order to use the app properly, which is something I've made a reel on my Instagram. You can check it out over there. Now that you have your maintenance calories, you have to confirm it before you move on to the next step, because remember, it is just a rough estimate. You have to make sure that is your maintenance. So let's assume that your maintenance calories are somewhere around 2600 calories per day. In order to confirm that, you have to eat those many calories for at least 2 weeks. This will give you sufficient data to ensure whether it is your maintenance calories or whether you have to make any changes up or down. When you eat those many calories for 2 weeks, and if your weight increases, that means it isn't your maintenance calories, because if it were, it would stay the same. So what you would have to do is decrease 150 calories and repeat it. And if your weight decreases, that also means it isn't your maintenance calories. In that case, you would have to increase 150 calories and repeat the entire process. You keep doing this until your weight doesn't fluctuate, and ta-da, you would have found your maintenance. Now, during this entire process, you'd probably be wondering how much protein, fats, and carbs you're supposed to eat, which is exactly what I've given over here. You can refer to this entire thing. I'm not going to talk too much about this. Okay. So after a couple of attempts, let's say you figure out your maintenance calories where your weight isn't fluctuating much and you've found your maintenance. Let's go to step three. Step three is figuring out how much calories you should eat to reach your goal. Your goal is to get in shape basically, which is either to lose fat or to put on muscle. Basically, you want to stay lean with a good muscular shape. So if your goal is to lose weight, you have to go into a caloric deficit, which is you should eat 300 to 500 calories lesser than your maintenance. And if your goal is to gain weight, you just eat 300 to 500 calories more than your maintenance. Whatever your goal is, you have to continue monitoring your weight and ensure that you're gaining or losing weight. And remember, only weekly averages are going to be accurate. If you take a look at your weight every day and try to make something out of it, it is not going to make sense. Just consider your weekly averages. That's it. Dieting is pretty much easy. This is exactly what you have to do if you're just starting out. Now we're going to go to the next crucial step, which is training. So step one of training is to figure out your goals and requirements. If your goal is to appear more muscular, you would probably have to lean more towards resistance training. And if your goal is to have better athletic performance and cardio endurance, you would have to lean towards the cardio endurance side. So we're gonna just start with the cardio endurance side. I'm not the biggest person to talk about cardio endurance, but this is some of the basics that I know, so I'm going to share it with you guys. And I just want to tell you this, general cardio endurance can be built with properly programmed resistance training with including various rep ranges. Yeah. So you really don't have to focus on cardiovascular endurance if your goal with cardio is just to improve your heart health. You can do that with resistance training. But if your goal is to improve sports specific requirements, then you would have to do sport specific training, which is basically sport endurance and sport strength. Those are the two broad divisions that I can think of. So in order to get better sport endurance, you have to repeat the action over and over again. Basically, keep practicing it. Even if it is running, swimming, football, or boxing, you basically do it over and over again until you're better at it and you can see yourself improving. If sports strength is something that you're focusing on, doing the sport itself matters, plus resistance training is very important here. Things like vertical jumps, throws, football, boxing, which is very important for the sport itself or for some other sport like high jump or basketball, is where you will need to focus on these things. Because anything more than this, I wouldn't be the right person to talk about it. Because if you're that serious, you better hire a coach or work with somebody who knows really about the sport. Okay, now we're gonna talk about resistance training. So either you have an access to the gym or you don't. In both cases, though, training 3 to 6 times a week with 1 to 3x a week of major muscle group, and if any sport specific training, if anything is necessary, like I said, or you have to focus on any sort of a muscle which is lagging, these are the things that we have to focus on when deciding what sort of program you have to work with. Yeah, even if it means you have access to the gym or you're going to be working out at home. But when you're working out at home without any equipments, it becomes harder to focus on certain muscles, which is why you would have to mostly depend on compound lifts. You would have to do things like push up variations, pull up variations, squat variations, stuff like that in order to just build your overall physique. But when it comes to training at a gym, you can focus on heavy compound lifts and accessory lifts. You can combine both of them in a specific fashion to enhance your physique. Step two is to pick a training frequency and split. And when it comes to picking a frequency and a split, the question you should ask is how often can you train? Not how often should you train, because you should only do what is possible, not what's necessary. Follow me through this. Listen to me when I say this, because if you force yourself to do what you cannot, that becomes unsustainable. You can't do it for long enough and you would fall out in the middle. Instead, do what you can so you can do it for a very long time and actually get results out of it. This is very important to remember because sustainability plays a huge role in you getting into better shape and getting jacked. Because obviously, this is a long game. You cannot expect yourself to get jacked, not even in a year. Okay, so when picking a split, you can decide on a 6 time a week, 3 time a week, or a twice a week type of a split. You can even do 5 times, 4 times. This is just an example of what I think would work for most of the people. So you can take a look at all of these things, all of these splits that I've made. This is a split that I've made for a lot of people. Actually, this is something that I've pulled off of an ebook that I've made 3 years ago. So you can take a look at these and decide what you can do. You can exactly do the split as it is, or you can kind of make any sort of variations and do something that works for you. Moving on to step three, just like how you track your food, you have to start tracking your workouts, because obviously you will have to follow a progression model. And in order to do that, you have to know how much weight you lift. And in order to know that, you have to know how much weight you lifted a week ago. You have to keep track of all these things. And these are two apps which I recommend you use because they've got a pretty good interface and they help you keep track of how much you lifted for each lift in your previous sessions. If you're wondering how you should be making progressions, I'll give you a very simple rule that you can follow. Let's say you have to progress on shoulder press and your rep range in the program is 8 to 10 of 3 sets. If you can do 10 reps in all of those 3 sets, then it's very simple. You just pick the next heaviest weight and repeat the process all over again, starting from 8 reps. And let's say you can still do more than 8 reps. Let's say you can do 9 reps. That's totally fine. You stick with it until you can do 10 reps and then repeat the process of picking the next heaviest weight and starting the repetitions all over again, rep cycle all over again. This is a very easy linear method of progression. Step 4 is simply to continue to work out and progress throughout. And remember this, you don't have to change your workout split too often. The first time I changed my workout split was probably 2.5 years of following the same thing over and over again, which is exactly why I was able to make a lot of progress, because I did not follow stupid fad workouts. I just followed the basics and stuck with it for a very, very long time. Now comes the important part and the fun part that I actually like to talk about: routine. These are the habits or behaviors that basically bring fitness into your life. And these are barely the amount of things that I wish to talk about, because if I just decided to put everything into one video, it would never end, trust me. And I honestly cannot recall everything all at once. So if you want to know everything, just follow me on my Instagram. I'll be putting out stories, reels, and updates of all these things. And I hope it is useful to you. So, with routine, I'm going to be talking about certain things that you have to do while dieting, certain things that you have to be doing while training. So, with dieting, I've broadly categorized it into three categories basically, where dieting in your life. So, with tracking and estimating, there are two habits that you have to follow, which is basically eyeballing your calories, eyeballing the food that you're going to eat. And also, one very important habit which I don't see people doing, which I have to tell people over and over again, which is tracking the foods that you eat before actually eating it. So, with eyeballing, there are situations where you have to eat outside food. You can't really rely on measuring it. And the only way to get good at it is through repeated trial and error. You can use instances when you measure to teach yourself how portions look like to train eyeballing. Most of the time, I want you guys to be tracking your food with a weighing scale at home. If you keep weighing 100 grams of rice every single day, you're going to end up remembering what 100 grams of rice looks like, right? This is a very important skill to have, because when you remember what 100 grams of rice looks like, you can just use that visual interpretation outside, anywhere in the world, when you go to a restaurant, when you go to your friend's house. The thing that I said, tracking your food before eating, because this will allow you to manipulate the quantity of food to meet your macros. In case you go overboard accidentally, it's all good, because you can run a trial on the quantity of the food because you haven't eaten it yet. I don't understand why people don't get this. You can use the app to your advantage. You can track on the apps that I mentioned to you before as if you have already eaten it. The app isn't there so that you can track the food that you've eaten. You can use the app in order to run a trial, like you've eaten through the entire day. You can use the app to plan your entire meals. When you do this, you can see where you're going wrong, what quantity of food that you have to manipulate in order to probably fit an ice cream into your macros at the end of the day, or to make sure that you're not going overboard. This is a very important step, and this is the only way you can be successful with dieting. Like I said, sustainability is very important. So, in order to make sure you're sustainable with dieting, these two habits, very important. The next category is planning your meals, meal preps. It doesn't have to be boxes of food ready to eat, maybe a big pot of cooked rice or marinated chicken ready to cook. This is very important, especially for me. What I do is I have a rice cooker with a lot of rice filled in it, which lasts for about 4 to 5 days and it won't go bad. Trust me, if you refrigerate it. Or it doesn't really have to be rice, maybe it could be chapati, like dough ready to be made into chapatis, or maybe it could be batter for idli or dosas. The important thing is you should have the ingredients ready, that you just have to go through one simple step of just heating the food and it's already ready for you to eat. This is how you reduce friction and be able to eat foods made at home and stop ordering outside food. You just have to spend one good day prepping all your meals like this so that you are ready to go for the rest of the week. Pre-deciding and default meals. Eating the same meals every day may be boring, but it works. Trust me, this is very important, because when I started with my fitness journey, I remember I used to eat the same boring things every day. Rice and mung beans because I couldn't afford to eat chicken every day. That's another story. I used to eat 300 grams of mung beans for 3 years straight. Maybe I've missed around 50 days out of those 3 years. But yeah, all the other days I used to eat it consistently and I fucking hate it. But yeah, I had to do it. Remember this, eating healthy or unhealthy is completely your choice. But counting calories is non negotiable. I would rather have you eat healthy, but you can eat unhealthy food. It's not really about the labels, it's really about counting calories because I don't believe in these labels. It's just that I had to break it out to you guys that there's healthy foods and unhealthy foods, but I really don't believe in those labels. What I believe is counting calories. Diet recovery. Diet breaks are very important because you can't be eating too little food for very long time. So you have to eat at your maintenance for some time so that you can recover from the entire diet. Refeed days are also very important for some people, especially for people who were lean at one point of time. For others, it's not really that important, but try it out. If it helps, do it. We're going to move on to the habits that you have to have if you're training. You have to do at least 6,000 steps every day. Trust me, this is something that will work like magic if you're trying to stay lean. Scheduling your training is also very important because trust me, you can't do it in your free time. That means that it's not important. You're only letting yourself work out when you have free time. No. Set a specific time where you can absolutely train, and that should be a non negotiable. Nothing else takes up your time at that time of the day. Taking deloads are also very important because the chances of you getting burnt out while training is very high. So it is important that you take a deload where you absolutely do very little or nothing at all every 8 to 12 weeks. Maybe it could be longer for most people, but not lesser than 8 weeks. Now, these are some of the habits I like to follow through day and nights. In the morning, you get a good amount of sunlight into your eyelids. Drink your caffeine, no screen time, more you time. I probably don't have to explain a lot about this. In the evening, make sure you have dimmer lights, no caffeine, no screen time, and preferably spend some time to decide what you're going to be doing the next day because you don't want to wake up in the morning and feel pointless. If you're somebody who goes to a 9 to 5, you probably have decided that. But if you're still figuring out life and deciding what to do next with your life, it is very important that you plan the next day prior to it. Now, I am going to end the video soon. Before that, I want to talk to you guys about a specific mentality that I want you to have. I've talked to you about everything from dieting, training, and the kind of person that you have to be throughout. So, with mentality, you're essentially trying to go from being person B to person A. And person B is a person who does all kinds of these things, all these unideal traits. And person A is the kind of person who does all these ideal traits, you can say. And you can't exactly be person A. You can't be that insane person. Like, that's super unrealistic, I would say. But yeah, if you manage to achieve it, good for you. But what I'm trying to tell you is all you have to be is here. You just have to try and be here. Not be person A or here, but be better than the middle, I would say. That's an ideal place to be. You can find this entire fitness blueprint in my description below. You can download it. I've set a link below in my description as a PDF. I want you guys to remember that this entire thing is going to be really hard and you have to go through the effort no matter what. But I want you to believe in yourself and make the effort because it's going to be worth it. Yeah. If you guys want to see more videos like this, just drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Tell me what thing I should be talking about next. Yeah. See ya.